Here we go again. Before I ever considered watching the Mulan remake, I watched a review by a YouTuber that's been reliable with their reviews. But with this one, I was led to believe that the Mulan remake was actually good. They were even adamant when saying that Mulan was not a Mary Sue. This encouraged me to watch the movie, and I was actually looking forward to it. But in the opening scene, it shows the silhouette of a young girl that we can pretty much assume is Mulan, performing a type of martial arts very skillfully, possibly even high level. What the hell? Then came that damn chicken scene. All hopes for this film pretty much died after that. I know there's some political issues involving the film, and I'm going to touch on that for just a moment. Any mildly decent human being knows that that's wrong and that needs to stop. And it's Disney to care more about money than about people's rights. That's all I'm going to say about the matter, because there are other videos that go more in depth on the subject and can better educate you than I can. Now, let's talk about chi. It's energy. Life energy. It is literally everywhere and in everything, not just in people, definitely making it non-gender bias. And if you want a more scientific explanation, chi in a person is partly a combination of glucose and oxygen in the body. That's all I'm going to say about the subject. If you want to know more, you can look it up. There is tons of information out there. Alright, let's be frank. These are two different movies altogether. Combining two different concepts in one can work, but you really have to go into it with an objective mind to help you determine which direction to go in and ask the hard questions. Does it make sense? Does it make sense enough that the viewers won't tear every second of the film apart? The fact that this video exists answers that question. Despite the witch pretty much being in the wrong movie, she was the only thing I actually liked about it, even though she was so poorly written. She was the strongest character, and how I think it should have ended was her being fed up being used by Khan while being belittled by him, thus killing him and becoming the final boss villain. Mulan tries to get through to her and use what the witch told her about herself to peel back the layers, causing the witch to hesitate and Mulan accidentally giving her a fatal wound. That would have made for a better ending. Would it have saved the film? Hell no. I just felt so damn sorry for the witch because all she wanted was a friend. I really liked the concept of her, and I loved the actress that played her. She should have had her own movie. Sorry for the rant. Now let's talk about Shang. They could have kept his character. All they would have had to do was make him the same rank as Mulan. But instead, they erased him completely, pissing off a lot of people, and created a new character that is literally a copy and paste of Shang, just with a different name. That. Shang stays. Again, I will be using my own drawings and oh boy, there is a lot. It will also be more narrated just because there is so much to get through. I'm not going to make the same mistake as Disney and claim that my version is accurate or authentic in any way. This is just a version that I would have liked to have seen made with some actual effort put into it. Alright then, let's get started. In the opening, instead of it being a silhouette of young Mulan, it's actually a younger version of her father, but then the silhouette comes into focus showing him older and how time has not been kind to him. However, to a young impressionable Mulan, his slower moving technique is still every bit as beautiful. He enjoys her admiration and invites her to join in. Khan comes in and does his invasion without the witch. The emperor is told of the attack and sends out the decree. The next scene opens with the mother reciting the virtues to Mulan, who is having her face done. After she has been prepped, her mother leaves to fetch the comb. Mulan spots a spider. Instead of being frightened by it, she picks it up. She intends to put it outside, but then her mother re-enters the room, prompting Mulan to hide the spider. Her mother places the comb on her head, and when she looks away, Mulan checks on the spider but finds it gone. When they arrive at the matchmaker, Mulan pours the tea but then spots the spider. When no one is looking, she immediately reaches for the spider. When the matchmaker sees her, she scolds her for her improper sitting position. She orders Mulan to remove her hands off the table, but Mulan tries to persuade differently. It doesn't work as the matchmaker loses her temper. Mulan removes her hands, revealing the spider. The matchmaker screams. Her assistant rushes to eliminate the spider, but Mulan tries to get up to stop her but trips on her dress. Flipping the table, the pot gets thrown, hits a lamp, spilling the oil, causing the fire to break out. As the women run out, Mulan picks up the spider. Once out, the furious matchmaker screams, "Your daughter is an improper, ill-mannered, accident-prone walking catastrophe, and if she does manage to find a husband, I'll be surprised if she doesn't kill him." Mulan runs away, ashamed and embarrassed. Alone, she washes her makeup off and stares into her reflection. What do you hope to see by staring so long? See who I really am. Why am I so different? In the war, I had a friend named Ping that was different. He was expected to do the same as the rest of us, but chose to do things differently, and because of that, he saved a lot of lives, including my own. What happened to him? In order to save many, you have to be willing to sacrifice, even yourself. He knew that, and that's why I'm here, sitting with you. With the opening scene, I promise I'm not making Mulan marry Sue. I just wanted to show her father's openness in embracing his daughter's quirky characteristic, and to set up future character development. The reason for jumping straight into the matchmaking scene is because I want to show Mulan being introduced the way that time period expected out of her. But even with the makeup and the dress, her true nature can't be so easily covered up as she plays with the spider. If you noticed, I got rid of the sister because she wasn't necessary. The incident with the matchmaker, to a degree, was never Mulan's fault in the animation, and in the remake, it had absolutely nothing to do with her. Here, the fiasco was due to her being different. She likes spiders while most girls don't. When trying to correct the situation, she trips on her dress, showing her awkwardness with a thing that she's supposed to be good at. Having her wash her makeup off and staring into her reflection is an homage to Reflection's song. Damn, that's a good song. When her father consoles her, he mentions Ping, who too was different but made it work. I added this because in the animation, there was a previous relationship with the character named Ping through Mushu, but in the remake, there was no relationship in the name, making me wonder, where did it come from? In Yentl, the relationship with the name Ancho was that it belonged to her dead brother, thus foreshadowing. Quick little add-in because I forgot to add this into the script. As Mulan and her mother are leaving to go to the matchmaker, the village doctor arrives. Mulan asks her mother why he's here. She simply answers, he had an appointment. The camera cuts back into the house with the two men making small talk. The doctor asks for the occasion for Mulan's makeup, and her father answers that she's seen the matchmaker. The doctor quickly responds, the sooner the better. I felt the need to add this because I wanted to give the viewer more insight into the father without giving him a giant monologue. Showing is more revealing than telling. After being recruited, the family eats their last meal together in silence, but Mulan can no longer hold her tongue. They could clearly see that you are not capable of war, so why accept? One less soldier gives one invader a chance to slip by. It is an honor to once again serve my emperor and protect my country. So you'll die for honor, but you won't live for your family. We both have our responsibilities. Mine as a man is to provide and protect. Yours as a woman is to bear and serve. Outside, she watches her mother hold back her tears while her father limps out of the room. It is then she decides. The thunder roars and her father wakes. He finds the comb by his bedside and in horror just knows. Once it's confirmed, he prays to his ancestors to watch over and protect her. In the animation, Mulan instigates the argument and even responds in a sarcastic tone.
So you'll die for honor.
This angers her father, resulting in hurtful words being said. In the remake, it's the wife that's cautiously instigating the argument, and Mulan barely gets to say her one line before being cut off and scolded. The whole point of this was to set the stage for the big decision and create anticipation for the end of the movie when Mulan faces her father again. In the remake, right after their supposed argument, Mulan and her father have a moment together. This should have been reserved for the end of the movie, especially when he says,
I would change nothing about my life.
In both films, the ancestors play an important role, but spoilers, the animation did it better. It portrays the ancestors as people, but in spiritual form, and does show that, while dead, they do have a say in how the family lives. In the rewrite, I took it a step further and will explain at the end of the video. If you pay attention, you might catch on before then. Lost and unsure what direction to take, Mulan hears singing. When she rides up, she spots the man singing and spots the camp. When Mulan enters the camp, she avoids saying a single word. She gets in line but keeps her distance. However, the people lining behind her pushes her closer up front, causing her to bump into Shang. She bows in apology, but Shang can tell it wasn't her fault. He addresses Yao, who is standing behind Mulan. They quickly start arguing, but Mulan wants no part of it and tries to get away, but his friend Ling stops her. With it escalating, Qing Po, a third party, tries to defuse the situation with no luck. They're soon surrounded by others believing that a fight is about to break out, but the commander's presence ends the tension. When it is explained what happened, he addresses Mulan, demanding her name and conscription. She clumsily hands it to him and answers,
It's Ping.
He looks at her with discontentment and explains the rules of the camp. Next day, the training begins, and it starts with the commander encouraging the men to attack him while trying to take his tag from his waist. No one is eager to step forward, so he calls on Shang, Yao, and Mulan for what happened yesterday. They're all intimidated, but Yao goes first and immediately fails. Shang steps forward only to quickly be pushed back. Now it's Mulan's turn. She circles him, keeping her distance, knowing that she can't take him head-on like the others did. She takes a breath, takes a step forward, hinting at a direct approach, but then jumps back and goes for the tag. She's kicked. Never being hit before knocks the wind out of her. The commander stands over her, saying, There's potential. Despite her being in pain, she smiles at the compliment. The rest try and fail. They are relentlessly drilled, and the fatigue is like nothing Mulan's ever experienced. Her hands are sore and blistered, her feet ache, and everything hurts all over. She's pleased to see that others too are struggling. It gives her hope that she can catch up. Slowly but surely, her body gets used to the drills and can more or less keep up with the other men. But Yao and Ling doesn't make it easy on her with their constant picking. Shang is a golden child of the group but doesn't get the recognition he believes he deserves. First off, I apologize if I'm butchering any of the names, probably all of them. I kept the original 3 while demoting Shang. As for Mulan, she is a woman who has not had to do hard labors growing up, so one would think it would be natural for her to struggle with the training regimen. One film shows the struggle, while the other one, not so much. Can you guess which one? Also, another thing that should be apparent is her struggling to fit in amongst men because she was raised to be a petite woman. What the hell, Disney? In my rewrite, I showed the struggle by having her avoid talking to anyone because she's so out of her element. In both films, Mulan had to overcome an obstacle during the training segment to give her confidence to finally embrace who she really is. In the animation, it was retrieving the arrow with a pair of weights. In the remake, she had to carry buckets of water up a hill. I didn't get it. With the rewrite, it's similar to the arrow. The obstacle is retrieving the tag from their commanding officer. The weights are their inexperience. During combat training, Shang beats his opponent easily and addresses the commander. "Commander, it's clear I'm the best one here. It's a waste of my skills to still be here." "You think you're the best?" "You are the best among amateurs, but even they are slowly beginning to surpass you." "Who?" "As slow as he may move, Ching Po has the eyes of an archer. Yao may have rocks for brains, but he is a wall. Li may be lazy, but he never takes a step back. And then there's Ping. He was the weakest here, but now stands shoulder with the rest, and has good breathing." "What does that mean?" "You are a cut above the rest, but without control, it means nothing." At the end of the day, while everyone else is unwinding, Mulan watches a pair of rabbits. Shang scares them off, but when they stop, Mulan tells him which one is which. Curious, he asks how she knows. She could always tell when they're still, but never when they're running. Shane asks her to teach him how to control his breathing, but Mulan has no idea what he's talking about. He tells her what the commander told him, and she thinks she knows what he's talking about now. "My father and I would always do morning exercises before chores. He can't anymore, but he too would state the importance of controlling my breathing during exercises. I honestly didn't know I was doing it. Can you teach me? If you do, I'll help you with your sparring." "What's wrong with my sparring?" "Ping, you're not the biggest or the strongest. If you want to win a match, you're gonna have to change your style. That's why Yao picks on you so much. Win a match against him and he'll stop." This little segment was to shine light on the characters. Shang, while arrogant, is not so full of himself that he can't ask for help. The commander addresses the faults and the best attributes of the trio. This gives the audience more information and gives them something to look forward to further into the story. In the beginning of the rewrite, Mulan is shown practicing beside her father. This is that future character development I mentioned. Similar to Tanjiro and his father, who taught him the breathing technique that was used for dancing, but Tanjiro managed to use it in a battle. Now that she's aware of her breathing, she can learn to use it to her advantage in combat. The rabbits are a reference to the actual Ballad of Mulan, that the remake, to the shock of everyone, misinterpreted it. They teach each other what they know, and Ching Po too helps others with their archery, including Mulan. When it's time to pair up for another sparring match, it's Mulan that seeks out Yao, and with the combination of what Shang taught her and the awareness of her breathing, she wins. Yao takes his loss far more gracefully than he has with others. All that's left now is to take the commander's tag, and Mulan has an idea. She gathers the others and explains. "I think the commander wants us to attack him together. What on earth gives you that idea?" "He never stated any rules for the challenge. He just said, use whatever methods we wanted. If I'm wrong, I'll take the blame for it. And if you're right, we stand a chance." With a plan, Yao steps forward to challenge the commander. Distracted, Mulan comes in from behind. Next, Ling. The three hold their own well, but he's just too experienced, and Mulan can tell he's onto their plan. He's looking for Shang. Mulan signals to get him against the crowd now. He's not as close as she would like, but it's now or never. Ching Po comes out and tries to grab him, but with experience comes fast reflexes. With plan A a failure, it's time for plan B. Wear him down, and Shang joins the fold. With plan B working, Shang gets confident and goes for the tag, but it ends in disaster as the commander uses him as a shield, causing the others to hesitate enough for him to put an end to it. He demands to know whose idea it was, and Mulan steps forward, but so does the trio. Well done. A wolf can kill a sheep, but a pack can kill a tiger. In the rewrite, I wanted to not only show the main character learning to work together and develop their skills, but the other characters too. By doing this, it also shows that Mulan still has much to learn. The whole point of the sparring match with Yao is to put her on the same ground level as the rest of them and to boost her confidence so she can address the others about her ideas, showing her development on how she's thinking outside the box. By not winning against the commander, it shows that Shang still has some growing to do. As for the trio, by standing beside Mulan instead of letting her take the blame, that shows that she has earned their respect and trust. That will be important later in the story. If anyone has watched the 2009 Mulan movie, then you should recognize the wolf reference. Before dawn, the troops are woken in order to put their armor on. They're moving out. While marching, they all talk about the girl they believe is worth fighting for. When Mulan is asked, she dodges the question by saying she needs to use the bathroom. When trying to find a private spot, she trips and hears moaning. When she removes the snow, she finds a soldier. He points up the hill and dies. It takes a moment for Mulan to grasp what just happened, but eventually reports it. When they all reach the top, the weight of war finally hits them. The commander orders them to collect as many tags from the fallen soldiers. As for Mulan, she has hers. During the A Girl We're Fighting For segment, it shows their ignorance towards war, which is natural. They're farmers, not soldiers. The animation handled it very well for a child's film, and I very much wanted to do it justice. When Mulan sees a doll, that's her individual moment, which the remake didn't give her, and they didn't handle the Girl We're Fighting For very well either. When Mulan finds a soldier, that's her individual moment. Just as the doll was her Girl We're Fighting For, the tag with the dead soldier's name on it, that is her first encounter with war, her first death. That gives her something worth fighting for. The next day while marching, the commander spots scouts. He sends orders down the line for no one to react, but some start to get skittish and give it away. Arrows fly, but when the regiment tries to flee, they run into an ambush. A fight ensues for their lives. As the commander leads, he sees Borikhan fleeing. He orders Shang, Mulan, Cheng Po, Ling, and few others to pursue and capture. Shang and Cheng Po manage to kill Borikhan's men. Now alone, they chase after him to a geyser, where Borikhan falls down a crevice, taking one of them with him. They can't see anything, and their comrade isn't responding to their call. They assume they're both dead. Shang insists they return to the battlefield, but Mulan wonders what good it'll do when they're so heavily outnumbered, but then she gets an idea. We can't confirm he's dead, but they're going to keep fighting until there's proof. What do you want to do, retrieve his body? No, but I think we can use those bodies over there as a decoy. They'll know it's not him the moment they see his face, and if they do think that we have him, what's left of them is going to come after us. You want to lead him here, don't you? Over there where it's thin. They'll see it's a trap the moment they get here. Not if there's steam everywhere. The snow. Shang is finally convinced. They tie a corpse to him, making it look like he's propped up. The others work on creating enough steam. Shang, Mulan, and Ling ride out to the battlefield. Before reaching the battle, Ling's breaks off, instructed to keep out of sight. When they get there, it takes some effort to get the Roran's attention, but when they do, Shang pulls on the corpse's hair, making it look like he's moving his head. As Mulan predicted, they take the bait. Once they all pass Ling, he tells the remaining regiment what the plan is. The commander leads the charge, backing them up. Shang and Mulan struggle to keep enough distance from the Roran to keep them from finding out. Finally, they slow their pace so the Roran won't lose sight of them when entering the man-made fog. Cheng Po shoots arrows behind the army, making them believe that reinforcements are behind them. It's time. Mulan splits from Shang to higher ground. As the army is right behind them, she throws a rope over the edge and Shang jumps off his horse and onto the side of the ridge. The Rorans are given no time to piece it together as the ground breaks beneath them. The ones behind are given no time to turn around as the rest of the regiment blocks their only path and forces them into the water. The archers finish them off. The Roran leading the charge reaches the corpse and is furious. He sees Shang struggling to climb up the slick rock wall. He aims, but Mulan sees and takes aim herself. Both arrows are fired. Shang finally reaches the top, only to find Mulan with an arrow in her. When the ordeal is over, they all wonder if they've won. They hear a horse and see Shang ride away. Peng's hurt! Shang's riding to find him a doctor. The rest look for survivors and gathers tags. I had such a hard time figuring out what to do for this part. I really wanted to do something different that wasn't just a copy and paste of the two movies. One of the reasons why this was so hard was because I really wanted to show the other characters' development, not just Mulan. One of my main criticisms about the remake was that I really wanted to see her fight side by side with her male counterparts. That's not what happened, and when she did finally join the battle, she was a one-woman army. In the animation, Mulan doesn't fight either until the very end, and I will cover that when we get there. In the remake, I did like that they changed the settings to the geysers. I took that and expanded it. Part of Mulan's role in the films is that she has to figure out ways to do things differently because she can't bulldoze her way through the obstacles the way a man can. This lets her come up with a plan to use the geysers to their advantage, but in order for it to work, the others have to be on board with it, and that's where that teamwork comes in from the training segment. What makes it so important is that this is a real battle, and the consequences if Mulan is wrong is death. But she earned their trust, so they agreed to go along with the plan. Now it's Shang's moment to grow or not, and he chooses to put his trust in someone else. The plan goes accordingly without a hitch, but what wasn't planned was the arrow. Mulan walking away without an injury was something I did not appreciate in this remake. Shane struggles for directions as he is unfamiliar with the region, but strangely a ball rolled towards them and a boy comes to claim it. Shane asks for a doctor and the boy points to a building being used by refugees. Mulan is treated, but the doctor reveals her secret. Shane makes his way to her and his expression tells her all she needs to know. Why? My father can barely walk, and because he has no sons, he's expected to fight again at his age. Maybe he would have felt honored to be a soldier once more, but there would have been nothing honorable about his death. Shang is unsure what to do. He knows the law, but she is still Ping in his eyes. Go home. You did what you set out to do. Your father lives, and Ping, he died an honorable death, and the others will know it. Shang leaves taking Ping's tag. When he meets up with his regiment, he tells them that Ping died of his injuries. Believing victory has been secured, they leave to return to the palace. Wake up! Wake up! What's going on? Roran! Impossible. Mulan is urged into a hiding spot with other refugees. She watches through a crack and sees with her own eyes Boricon. The doctor's forced to treat him, and when it's done they start killing them. Mulan wants to help, but a woman stops her. Hearing them being killed tears her apart, but knows if she runs out she'll expose those hiding. When the killing is done, she hears them talk about having the element of surprise. Once they're gone, she wastes no time. When revealing that Boricon is still alive, Mulan is faced with an extremely difficult decision that is referenced in the phrase, one wolf can kill a sheep, but a pack can kill a tiger. Mulan is alone and injured. She also has civilians around her that are trying to get away from the war. This makes it difficult to make the decision to fight, and when she hears people being killed in the next room, I added this because war is hell, and hard decisions have to be made every day because of it. And just because this is fiction doesn't mean it gets a free pass. Back at the Imperial City, the soldiers are being instructed in what order they will march. Mulan arrives and her horse collapses in exhaustion. While the rest are confused, Shang is horrified to see her. The Emperor is in danger. The Rorans are still alive. What are you babbling about, woman? Ping? Impossible, he's dead. They've already killed to keep their existence unknown. They're here. That armor. Arrest her. Please, you have to listen to me. A woman who impersonates a soldier seals her fate. Stop it. She's hurt. This is Ping, the same Ping that saved all of our lives. Punish me if you must. Kill me if you have to, but please believe me. Arrest him too. We'll deal with the both of you after the march. The two are taken to a holding cell. There, Mulan feels completely defeated. I'm sorry. If you apologize, they may let you off easy. If you're right about the Roran, it won't matter after tonight. So that's it, huh? It would be, if we weren't soldiers. Shing holds his hand out to Mulan. He pulls her up off the floor, but before they can break out, they hear noise outside and the trio burst in. They explain that the commander took half the group to search the city while the other half are marching, but keeping a lookout for anything suspicious. So what's the plan, Ping? My name is Mulan. The gender reveal is one of the most significant parts of the story. The whole point is to see how the men will react. How will they treat her differently? In the animation, it is made apparent that if Mulan is revealed, she will be executed for breaking the law. In the remake, they made that apparent too. In the 2009 movie, they too make that apparent as well. In the animation, it was clear that Shang knew what he had to do, what was expected of him to do, especially in front of Shifu, whose job it is to report everything to the Emperor. But he couldn't bring himself to do it. In the remake, they don't even acknowledge the idea of executing Mulan. Mulan is the one that brings it up, and even then, they still don't acknowledge it. They just expel her. By having Mulan return to inform them of the Rorans, she has defied the commander in front of his regiment, pretty much leaving him no choice. The reason that this is supposed to be an emotional scene is because she had broke bread with these men. She trained beside them, and when it counted, she had their backs in combat, thus earning their trust and respect. Because of those things, it was supposed to make it emotionally difficult for them to go through with the punishment. That's what I wanted to convey with my rewrite. By setting the stage for the other characters to react and let them decide what to do with this information. Shang stands with Mulan and holds his hand out to pull her out of her despair. The lovable trio, too, stands with Mulan and even risks their own freedom to break her out. Even the commander pays heed to her warning because despite her gender change, she has proven herself over and over. That is character development, something that you just don't see in the remake, which is so infuriating. Once free, they figure out that the Roran might travel on top of the roofs to avoid detection. They do the same to avoid being arrested again, but have to lighten themselves by abandoning their heavy armor. When reaching the inner gate, they find the archers dead. They start making their way through and are ambushed as some of the corpses start attacking. The trio stay behind as Mulan and Shang run ahead. They make it up the steps only to find a giant waiting for them. The two hold their ground well together, but Shang urges Mulan to go ahead. These are nothing but distractions to buy him time. Don't give that bastard any more time. She knows he's right, but it still hurts to leave him behind. When she reaches the top, she starts a fire with the flags, hoping to catch the attention of both reinforcements and Boricon. The soldiers do see it, and even the soldiers marching make their way to the palace. Inside the throne room, while arguing with the Emperor, one of the council members shouts fire. As smoke comes in, Boricon makes his way outside to investigate and catches an arrow coming at him from the side. Mulan shoots another arrow and charges at him. He dodges a second arrow and is prepared for an attack, but at the last moment Mulan slides down, cutting his leg. The trio are at their limit as Ling is wounded and Qing Po is unconscious, but Yao stands firm despite his own injuries. The reinforcements break through the gate and ends the fight, much to the trio's relief. Shang's still fighting the giant and is far past his limit, but refuses to fall. He takes hit after hit and finds his opening. Taking a breath, he finally ends it, but takes no time to rest, making his way up the steps, but his body won't let him go any further. Mulan's fight continues, and not in her favor. Her injury limits her, but refuses to give up. She draws the fight away from the entrance of the throne room, giving the Emperor and his council the opportunity to escape. Boricon sees him leaving and diverts his attention, which Mulan takes advantage of. She manages to cut him again, but doesn't have the strength to go in deep. He kicks her away, agitating her injury. He sees the Emperor and chases after him, but Mulan throws her sword, piercing his shoulder. Unarmed, hurt, and exhausted, all Mulan can do is stand. He strikes, but the flash of fire blinds him for a moment, and Mulan uses it to take back her sword and give the killing blow. Remember when I said that Mulan didn't fight in the movies all that much except towards the end? The remake kinda had her fight side by side with her male counterparts, but she was fighting to get through the crowd. Watching this frustrated me because they weren't fighting to get to the Emperor, they were fighting to get Mulan to the Emperor because apparently she was the only one that could save him. In the animation, Mulan fought beside the trio to help restrain the guards so Shang, the more experienced soldier, could get to the Emperor. When the Emperor was safe, Mulan was prepared to retreat until she saw Shang losing. In my rewrite, I wanted the group to split up so they could have their own moment. More than anything, I wanted Mulan to struggle to win. I wanted her to really earn her victory despite it all. Mushu helped Mulan with her victory, and there's nothing wrong with having help. In the remake, however, it was given to her. There was kind of one thing I didn't like in the animation. When Shan Yu dies, it comes off as glorified because he's killed with fireworks. Here, Mulan isn't so much sorry for the action, but just exhausted by it and everything that transpired. As much as a relief it is to have the fighting end, it's never easy to celebrate knowing the cost of victory. The army makes their way up to find Shang, and to their surprise, the Emperor and his council making their way down, all unharmed. "Emperor, are you alright? How?" "One of your soldiers." "Mulan." "It was Mulan. Is she alright?" "She? A woman?" When the commander looks to the Emperor, he sees him looking up. Mulan makes her way down, and the Emperor signals her to approach. "What is your name?" "Hua Mulan." "You impersonated a soldier, set fire to the imperial flags, which eventually set fire to my throne room. All for what? What did you do all this for?" "My father." "As an emperor, my gratitude is limited, but as a father, a husband, and child of this nation, thank you. You saved more than one man today." Everyone is stunned to see the Emperor bow to Mulan, but quickly bow themselves. Tears fall as she is the one that is grateful. Just in case my wording was a bit confusing, when the Emperor said, "My gratitude is limited," what I was trying to get through is that because he's a high official, no matter how grateful he may be, he can't hug or thank her the way most people would. He has to be proper and formal about the way he addresses people. But like a wise leader, he found a loophole. By addressing himself as other titles than just Emperor, he gives himself the freedom to show his gratitude the way most people do in that country. He bows. Mulan Mulan travels down a road alone, thinking of all that transpired afterward. She thinks of the Emperor and his kindness, how he vowed to give her whatever she asked for, but all she wanted was to go home. But to the Emperor that was not enough. He gives her his pendant as proof of her honor. Her thoughts quickly drift to Shang, who urged her to stay, but regrets not being able to get him to understand her lack of desire for a military career. She sees her village and gallops towards it. It's still the same, but it's different. Now home, her mother at first is frightened, believing Mulan to be a ghost, but her expression quickly changes as tears fall as she hugs her child. Mulan asks of her father, and again her mother's expression changes. They go into the bedroom where her father lies dying with the lotus comb in his hand. Ancestors, thank you. Thank you. Father, the Emperor, he gave me this pendant to show you that I didn't dishonor our family. I didn't dishonor you. Mulan takes it off and holds it out for him to see, but he pushes it away. Instead, he grabs her arm, pulling it towards him until she leans in so he can hug her. I'm sorry I left. I just couldn't let you go. But what was it all for? So I could see. And I see. It's been in front of me always. My greatest honor was you. It was always you. My child, my daughter, my Mulan. The villagers continue on with their lives as a new face arrives. Mulan's at the shrine with the comb in her hands, and it dawns on her. They each had lotuses. They were there, watching, helping, always when she needed it, and now her father too will be watching over her. I contemplated for a good long while on whether or not to end it like this. I blame Man of La Mancha. I had just recently watched it before watching Mulan, and this scene always gets to me. Finally, I said, it. This is my rewrite, and I'm going to end it the way I want to. The father dying was very conflicting and a bit ironic considering the whole point of the story, and truth is, I don't really have a good defense for it, besides it fitting with the mature and dark tone of this rewrite. Yes, he could have lived, but there was just something about this ending that felt right. That's all I can say for this. It felt right. Near the beginning, I said that I'd explain the ancestors' involvement, and I'm not sure if you caught on or not, but 3 of them showed themselves to help Mulan. The man singing, the boy with his ball, and the old woman. One thing connecting the 3 spirits to Mulan was the lotus. In the animation, the lotus comb appeared to be a family heirloom and a representation of Mulan when she left. The remake didn't put any attention to the comb, but instead created a connection to her father with the sword. I too wanted there to be a connection, but the sword just wasn't doing it for me. The sword wasn't heavily connected to their ancestors like I speculate the comb was. The sword was given to her father for his service in the military. That has absolutely nothing to do with their ancestors. There's no connection to them, unlike the comb that was carefully handled as if it was a family heirloom. There is a lot of hate for this movie, and it's rightfully deserved. Disney showed its real colors with this one. While the actual Ballad of Mulan is extremely short, Disney did good when bringing this character to the big screens in 1998. There were issues with the animation, but its message helped a lot of people. It does suck that Disney didn't put the care needed in the remake. If they had, this could have really been an amazing movie. There are other Mulan movies and series that have been made showing just how remarkable and outstanding this character is, and it's incredible knowing that this short ballad, as old as it is, has withstood the times like it has and keeps inspiring people. Disney has another movie coming out, Raya and the Last Dragon, and I can only hope it's more respectful towards the culture than this one was. When doing the rewrite, I watched countless of reviews that helped me figure out what people didn't like, because there honestly wasn't much that they did like. I don't know if my rewrite was any better, but I did enjoy the walk down memory lane and remembering that I too wanted to be like Mulan. Thanks for watching.